anything.
You're ready for anything. Okay.
And we hope you're ready for today's video. Today we are in shop 3 out of 4 in our global overland build on our Jeep Gladiator. Check this shop out. From the outside of Studio 31 here in Tucson, you would never expect to find what's behind this door. This is the shop of Sonoran Expedition Collective. This is the only sign that he has behind these little bars. And Brien self-describes his shop as a artist studio with a truck building problem. This is basically a maker shop. Here's the little Jeep up front. There's the hairless Chincha. And we've got some skateboards and some random skulls and the shop. And this is where Dauntless is at right now. This is shop number 3 in our build, the home of Brien Wankel, also known as Handsome Anchor on Instagram. And you can see Dauntless over here. We're going to be sitting with Brien here in just a second and talking about what he's going to be doing on our build this week here at the shop. All right, Brien, thanks for having us here at the shop. We're really excited to be here. I am so excited for you to get your hands on Dauntless.
I'm excited to get my hands on Dauntless.
There's a lot of things that we want to have you do. Obviously, the big ticket item is the Long Range America fuel tank. And I'm pretty sure that your title, I'm not 100%, so forgive me if I get this wrong, but I think you're the Southwest Ambassador for Long Range America.
Correct,
right?
yeah.
Bottom line is you have one.
I have one, yeah. I've been running the Long Range America tank for almost 2 years now, and yeah, I love it. I've installed a number of them here at the shop.
So tell me, like, how hard is the install? Like, how does it work once you have it?
Yeah, so the install is a little bit tricky. It's definitely, it's recommended to have somebody who knows how to do it, install it. It's a little bit more than somebody could do like in a weekend on their own.
Okay.
Using it is literally the push of a button. Once it's installed, you'll have a little button that's about the size of a nickel on your dash. Whenever you need to fill up, you just hit that button and it'll transfer fuel from the reserve tank over into your main tank, and that's it.
Wow. Do you know if you lose much clearance on the bottom, like when the tank is in?
For the Gladiator, you won't. It doesn't drop. You'll be able to see it if you look under. You'll see it hang below the frame,
okay,
an inch or two, but it doesn't hang lower than other parts of the Jeep. So
that's cool.
I think it hangs almost about the same level as the factory fuel tank.
And just out of curiosity, like how many hours are you looking at for an install of something like that?
The install, I think shop hours is probably about 12 hours to install. It takes a couple guys a good amount of time to get
it's quite
installed.
a project.
Yeah, it's a bit of an ordeal.
Okay, cool. Well, we're looking forward to having it, just expanding our range and that, and we're really thankful to Long Range America for being a sponsor of ours, and you too for sponsoring us with this build. I know nothing about this.
You know,
what
I
is the
skipped
mechanics
over
of
something. So filling up, you fill up the same way you normally would.
Okay.
You just go to the gas station, you pull up. When you fill up through the fuel filler, it'll fill up both tanks.
Okay.
It fills up, the fuel will go into the reserve tank and into the main tank. And by the time the pump clicks that you're full, both of those tanks will be full.
Makes sense. And one other thing that I've researched, but I haven't seen it in person, is that it doesn't interfere with the spare tire under the Gladiator at all. It's like all forward. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yep.
That's really exciting.
So you still have all that spare tire space back there.
Very cool. Well, listen, I know that's the big ticket item, but I have a lot of other things that I want you to tackle, and I actually have a list because it's kind of long. So I'd like to go over this with you, if that's cool, and and then maybe you could just give me some thoughts. So we've got a Rexing S1 dash cam.
Okay.
And it has like a forward-facing cam, a back-facing cam, and it even has a rear camera. And I don't really know how we want all that set up yet, but I don't think that's going to be an issue.
Yeah, we can figure that out as we go.
But it comes with a GPS unit, and so I don't know where that's going to go, but I think it has to go like outside the vehicle somewhere or something.
We'll figure a good spot for that too.
All right, and then the folks at Blue Ridge Overland Gear hooked us up with an attic, which is where we can store all our coats and stuff. And in Guardian, our other rig, we have the really nice JKU attic, and it's huge. This one looks a little bit smaller, but it's actually designed for the JL.
Okay.
And it's not designed for this. And so the guys at Blue Ridge Overland Gear told me that you could probably figure out a way to make some brackets, but you're going to have to put something like back here in order to get it to stay up. So
right, yeah. Okay, got it.
Right,
we'll figure something out for that.
And then we have the Alu-Cab 13-gallon fresh water tank in here. On the far side, it's a gravity fed, and there's a hose that just kind of goes down naturally. But on this one, it kind of goes out and it kinks straight down. And so there's like a kink in the hose, so I just need it to
So it's
smooth
restricting the water a little bit?
Yeah, so I just need that fixed.
Cool.
I want to get a locking gas cap. Call me paranoid. I just like to be able to lock my gas
safe
tank.
than sorry, yeah.
Should be super simple. Our inverter. So inside we have the goose gear set up, and we have 2 utility cabinets. On the passenger side, I have an inverter that's kind of in the back towards the double drawer system.
Okay.
And so I have 2 plugs there. But in order to use those plugs, I have to take the plate off the top of the goose gear and then plug things in. I want you to get me power from that inverter somewhere inside the Canopy Camper so that I can just plug into the wall.
Yeah, not a problem. I can find some spot to move it.
All right, and then the other utility cabinet, the one that's here, we have a Webasto heater kind of forward on the bulkhead, and the ducting for that comes down all the way here, and it goes like behind the double drawer module, and then it comes up, and that's where it dissipates the heat. Well, that thing, the ducting is really like, it's crushable, right? And so it's on the bottom, and what that means is right now I can't store anything that's heavy inside there, and I need to use that space. So I need you to figure out some kind of solution to protect that pipe so that I can stuff in there. Okay. The other things I kind of want to show you because they're kind of specific. So let's take a walk over there and I'll show you a few other things that I want to get done. Cool. All right, Brian, so on the back of this panel here, you see we have the GP Factor tables down here, but up here, I'd like to have some sort of MOLLE panels up here. And then what we'd also like is Alu-Cab has this bar that goes across down here and bolts here. I'd almost like this replicated up here because Brittany wants to be able to hang the camp kitchen bags up here.
Okay.
So I just need a bar.
Yeah, and then so we can do it. I can make one that's offset. I can make it centered because this needs some clearance for that. Do you have any preference there?
She'll want it centered.
All right, centered it is.
All right, the next one, Brian, is right in this corner. So in this corner here, I would like to have another MOLLE panel put like, shaped to this.
Okay.
Because I want to hang our first aid bag there and our fire extinguisher there so it's readily accessible.
That'd be a good spot for that. Just grab and go.
Yeah. All right, Brian. So the next thing is, you see that bar that goes right across the top of the window frame, basically?
Yeah.
Where the bed rests down there. I'd like to have some sort of track that goes across on all 3 spots, like in between.
Right in these.
Exactly.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah, right in there where I can put some sort of thing and I can hang stuff down that aren't going to be there permanently, but like when we set up camp, let's say I want to hang a bag or something up there.
Yeah.
It doesn't interfere with the closing of the side wing doors or the opening of them. So I just
what we might be able to do is get some 2020 that's similar to the goose gear, and I could mount some 2020 up here, extruded aluminum. That way you'll be able to use the same T-slots if you want to mount, have bags hanging down here.
Okay.
And when you're ready, you can hang them up here. You'll be able to kind of move things around and it'll work in all of the...
Well, and it would look good too, right? Because it would match what goose gears do.
It'll look really slick.
Cool. All right, let's try and do that too on both sides.
Okay.
Do you have any questions for me or?
Seems pretty straightforward. Yeah, I got some ideas running in my head already. So this is going to be a fun project.
All right, let's do it. It's not always pretty when we are installing. There are wires and cables and things ripped apart. I think this is our visor on this side, and the wires, the A-pillars are torn apart. You can see the dash cam that's going to be installed. All right, this is probably the only time our windshield will ever be pulled out. It's all to install one little wire. And Brian, what are you doing?
This is the GPS antenna for the dash cam system. Just needs to sit up front. If we put it inside, it'll be blocked if they ever put a rack on top of here. And any metal above this will probably interfere with the signal.
After the dash cam install, Brian contacted our mutual friend Alvaro Davila, also known as Waka, to get the fuel tank install started. They are preparing the space underneath the Gladiator for this install.
Yeah.
What's going on, Brian?
Oh man, very tedious We're trying to tighten a nut, but we can only turn it about 2 degrees at a time.
Looks like you're hard at work there, Brien.
Now I'm thinking about taking a little nap while I wait for Wankel.
Oh, yeah, huh?
It's much better installed than the other tanks, but
The guys are putting in a late night tonight and probably a full day tomorrow getting this thing in. Had to get a little pizza though. Support the morale. All right, Brien, we're in day 1. What's going on so far? What have you been working on?
so far we've what have I done? Yeah, so far installed the dash cam system and just started on the LRA, the long range tank installation, which is tedious. So far, I mean, we're early in, but so far it looks like the install is going to be a little less manual, like drilling of holes. You have to do a lot of manual positioning of the other tank, and this one there's a nice bracket that we just installed. It was a little bit of a pain to get the bolts to all line up so we could get the bracket on there, but now that we have it on there, maybe that means we'll be smooth sailing for the rest of the install. So,
Sounds good, Brien.
this is the replacement exhaust. So you cut apart the existing, and then they give you this section that's right here with the new muffler.
I'm like, oh my gosh, this isn't important. It's just my fuel tank. It's just the life of my family.
How nervous did you get when we were taking the hacksaw to the...
Oh man, I didn't even videotape that.
And we just got it all installed.
Very cool,
So
guys.
solid, man.
Ain't going nowhere, Wankel?
No.
Ever?
Really solid, ever.
Right on, guys.
No, it's good, man.
So it looks like it's finally time to roll the Long Range America tank underneath Dauntless. Brien and Wankel are getting it done.
I'm holding this steady for you. I know it looks like I'm just relaxing and doing nothing, but trust me, this is super important holding right here.
Brien and Wankel just got the Long Range America fuel tank installed in Dauntless. The install was really clean, as you can see, but this was just the start of our tasking for Brien, so he was ready to move on to the next task and got to it. All right, Brien, what you doing?
Making a prototype of a MOLLE panel for the back of Dauntless's door there. This is just a quick cut to see if this is going to work the way that we want it to.
Looks like you're playing a video game.
Yeah, this is my CNC video game here.
There was a small kink in this hose, and we figured that we would use an elbow adapter to get the kink out, just so that water would flow better from the freshwater tank down to the water pump. So that's what Brien's working on now. What you working on, Brien?
This is a template for a little protector plate I need to make for the heater hose inside the Jeep, so it doesn't get crushed when bags and stuff are set on top of it. What
What we're trying to do is create a table that will go here over it. It will be a firm table so that we can put stuff inside of this utility cabinet and stack stuff that's hard or heavy without crushing this hose, which is collapsible.
Fits like a glove. Don't show it, don't show it, don't show it. I'm gonna trim this corner a little more. But I think that'll do. I mean, I'm gonna cut this out of wood and put some supports underneath it so it'll hold weight. This is just paperboard right now. Much cheaper to mess up and experiment with this than with actual plywood, especially with prices right now.
After Brien worked on the table for a little bit, he switched over to the plate that he was making for our electrical inverter issue, and then I was surprised by some guest visitors. Brittany and Caspian stopped by to see Dauntless and me and spend a little time together. Hey Caspian, what are you doing?
Gonna eat my donut? Donut in the Jeep.
Donut in the Jeep? Let me see your donut, Caspian. You excited about it?
Okay, this is what we're gonna do. Here's some shapes. These are letters. So you take something like, I'll take this diamond here. See how it's a diamond? I can stick it on there. And then watch your head. I hit it really hard. See? It leaves a diamond down there.
But I want your help.
Oh, I'll gladly help you. Let's start with a new fresh coin. What would you like to put on it?
Okay, I would like to put on it this.
Brien is a family guy himself, having 3 children of his own, And when Caspian stopped by, he let Caspian actually help with the build.
These guys on. Sorry, did I just poke your eyeball out? That's okay, you got another one. Just in case I did.
Okay, let me see.
Ready?
Look at Daddy, baby.
Okay, you ready?
Am I going to stay on that?
You are, yes.
I'm ready for anything.
You're ready for anything. Okay. I'm going to scoot you up just a little bit. Good? Okay. So here's what you're going to do. This is how you move the machine around. See these buttons right here? Cool. Okay, now here's what we're going to do. Let's move it over here. Over here if you can. Yep. Actually, let's move it back. Try to get it to where my finger is. Okay, you did it. Now we're going to set. That's the height. It's going to draw a picture, and I want you to see if you can figure out what the picture is when it draws. Hit that green button whenever you're ready.
It was a really special treat for Caspian to be involved in the build out of Dauntless, and then after Brittany and Caspian left, Brien went to work on the MOLLE panels. Once Brien had the CNC machine working on the MOLLE panels, he started out on the kitchen bar, which is designed to hold Brittany's kitchen bags. Now, this little unit proved to be probably the most difficult thing that he tackled during the entire time we were here. Maybe the Long Range America tank a little bit more than this, but maybe not. This thing just was a pain in the backside. But he stayed at it. It's not easy to do this with aluminum and to make it strong. And he faced some challenges, but he overcame them. And ultimately, what we got was a bar. And we're going to show that to you here at the end, but I wanted to show you a few of the clips of how much work Brien put into this one little bar.
Ah! No, just drilling holes in your beautiful brand new topper here. How does that make you feel, Eric?
It's so hard to film this stuff. But it always turns out all right, but makes me nervous. All right, Brien, what are we working on now?
Walking and I are mounting this 2020 extruded aluminum on the inside here. So these are going to surround the perimeter in various locations wherever we can fit them. And the idea is that this will provide mounting points. So you can have like hooks hanging here for attaching bags. You can have lights attached to these. You can have whatever you want. You just drop in a T-nut and it gives you a little screw point to screw anything on. And the reason we're going with this is because it uses the same size T-slot as the goose gear. So that way you can move anything around, use the same mounts all over the place. It's a full service shop too. We even give a detailed vacuum. Or I just feel guilty about leaving aluminum chips all over the place.
All right, Brien, so let's do a recap on everything that you've done here at the shop. Let's talk first about the Long Range America tank.
Yes. So I had Waka come help me out for a couple days, a couple evenings. It went really smooth. I've installed a handful of these, and this was by far the nicest install. So Eric, here's where I installed the new switch for your fuel tank. It's right on the side of the center console here, out of the way, but easy enough to see while you're driving. And in order to use it, it's really just as easy as pressing the button. So you hit the button, that top light goes orange, and that means it's transferring fuel. And you'll be able to monitor the fuel using the information on your dash. You'll see the miles remaining counting up, and then when you're ready to turn it off, you just hit the button again, and it turns it off. That's it.
Hey, can you see me?
I can see you. So this is the Rexing S1 Pro dash cam that Brien installed. Brien, talk to me about this install, any challenges you had or how it went.
Yeah, the challenges, just sort of normal challenges of
installing anything that is around the dash is typically, in order to hide the wires, you have to take apart various pieces of the dash. So with this one, I had to kind of disassemble a lot of this stuff. We also had to tilt the windshield forward to run a wire out in order to get it to the GPS unit, which I'll show you where I mounted that. As you can see, the rear cam is disconnected. That's this cable right here.
Right.
It's tucked right up there.
And for the record, that was my choice. We just haven't decided where to put it yet.
It's pre-wired too, so I pre-wired it in the rear in case you want to do it there. Yeah, it'll be relatively straightforward.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, we are looking forward to using that. And let's talk about where you put the GPS.
This is it right here. What do you think?
Where is it?
You like it? So these on the Gladiator are actually composite. They're not metal. So what I did is I pulled this off. There's a mount, there's a flat plate there that I was able to mount the antenna onto, and then I put the composite piece right back over it. So it's going to be able to get a signal just fine, and it's like totally out of the way. You literally can't tell it's there.
All right, so we are absolutely thrilled with the Blue Ridge Overland Gear attic and how it turned out, because as you can see, it holds a metric ton of stuff. All of our jackets, hats, everything's up there, all the lightweight stuff, and it makes it easily accessible and out of the way. So thank you to Blue Ridge Overland Gear for that. And you had to install some brackets, Brien, so let's talk about that real quick.
I did some looking around, and thankfully, username is DarkHorse13. Shout out if you're watching this. DarkHorse13 on Jeep Gladiator forum designed a bracket for this that I was able to borrow the design from. He had all the measurements and stuff up there, so that made this a fairly easy install. A couple brackets. It uses the screws that were already in place for mounting it. Yeah, it was easy peasy. And it turned out great.
Only Caspian usually sits in the car seat, Brien.
Sorry, I was hoping to tag along. Yeah, and I'm impressed with just how much stuff. So Eric had all this stuff laid out in the shop, and it's like a wardrobe full of winter gear and hats and stuff, and it all packs up in there just fine.
You kind of outdid yourself on this one. Talk to me about what you did to solve my inverter problem.
Yeah, so I added these two outlets right here. I found a spot where I was able to drill all the way through and not interfere with the electronics that are already behind here that kind of take up the whole rest of this space. And I gave you a little something extra. It's a Ghost of the Hourless Life logo. And
it's so cool.
As this gets used and travels around and sort of gets wear and tear, this actually should get darker and darker as it lives on. So
we'll
kind of a cool little touch. It says Hourless Life right here with the logo. And then you had mentioned that you're going to be primarily using these for charging laptops and stuff. I know you guys use MacBooks, so I of course made sure that it's going to fit 2 power bricks just fine. Yeah, this was fun. This was one of the smaller projects in this. While your vehicle's been in the shop here, but this was definitely the most enjoyable one. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you very much for that, Brien.
You're very welcome.
For the record, I did the gas cap install, but then Brien, you noticed something.
You did great.
And I did great, thank you. And then you noticed something, so show us what you noticed.
Whenever you replace the gas cap, they never come with this this little pigtail that the stock gas cap comes with. So what I always do is I just drill a little bit of a hole in the top of the new gas cap, and then I push this back in there.
It's the details, Brien. It's the details. It's little things like that, or the spacing on the plugs. You know, those little details make all the difference when you're doing this type of work. So
yep. This is one of those things where just that little thing, you know, it's like a $5 cap. But if you lose this while you're in the middle of nowhere, or you're in, you know, some remote area of Central America or something, it can be a real hassle to get a replacement for that. And it's just another little thing to worry about.
So I asked Brien to build me a table inside this utility cabinet, and I got to show you how much stuff I actually keep in this place now that the table is in place. So that was a chair. Normally we carry 2 of those chairs. There's a table.
It's almost like a clown car.
There's another chair.
It just keeps going.
There's a Camelback, my EDC, everyday carry bag, Brittany's water container, a spike hammer, a hammock,
Still going.
a dromedary MSR water bladder, another Red Ox bag, and a set of, actually two sets of trekking poles. So yeah, so I want to show you this, because this here, these trekking poles and all this stuff that Brien just stacked up live in this little space. So Brien, show me what you did to allow me to stack this stuff in there.
So this was the spot where that hose for the heater runs through. If it gets any sort of weight on it, especially if you're bouncing down the road, it can get crushed, and then all of a sudden you're not getting airflow and it can mess up the heater. So
I made a little table in here just to kind of fit the contours and cover up that hose. Connected it to the extruded aluminum for the goose gear, and then we extended it all the way almost to the back.
So you can see that it goes all the way back there, and then you can see where the hose goes up to allow the heat out. And then Brien, you also have a little hole in here.
That's in case you ever want to take this out. So hopefully you don't have to. I think the only time you'll ever want to is if you need to get at that hose if something bad happened.
Again, with the details. Thank you so much, Brien, for taking care of that for us.
Yep.
And then while we're here, Brien, in the same corner is where we had the kinked hose.
When the vehicle came to the shop, there was a really bad kink in the hose that went here. And Eric was telling me that Juniper Overland tried to fix it. They couldn't find the part. And I said, oh, no problem. We'll just go to Home Depot. They have those. They're super easy. So I got to Home Depot. Sure enough, this is not, you can't find these anywhere. It's impossible. So what I did is I found a few fittings that I was able to assemble together enough to make the 90 degree. So it's a little bit bigger than if it was just one. And in order to fit it then, I had to remove this this top. I stuck it over on the CNC and just cut out a nice, this groove was already there. I just had to make it a little bit wider. So I did it on the CNC so it still looked just as clean.
All right, Brien, so we did the MOLLE panels, and by we, I mean you did the MOLLE panels. 3 of them. Talk to me about those and how it went.
Yeah, so the MOLLE panels were fun. They were pretty straightforward. I took some measurements. The 2 in the back were just a square. Well, they were rectangle, but mostly pretty close enough. And then the one on the side was actually is a little bit trapezoidal, I think is the word for that. But once I had the measurements, whipping them up in CAD went pretty quick. Cut them out on the CNC out of 1/8" 6061 aluminum, which is real machinable. And then we brushed them, and by we I mean I brushed them so they're nice. They have a nice finish to them. And that's it. And then mounted them with some L brackets in the back.
Then you tackled the bar that Brittany wanted, the kitchen bar, and there were some challenges with this one.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what exactly it was. So that was another one, getting the measurements super easy. I just got the angles that were used in the current bar, made a little jig so that I could make sure when I clamped everything down, the angles were all right. It's a little bit shorter so that it fits in that little smaller area on the top. And the welder, I'm not sure what it was, if it was the temperature in here, the preheating of the aluminum or what, but I wasn't getting good penetration. Then I thought I was getting good penetration, welded it all up, went to paint it, and on like the 3rd or 4th coat, it slipped off of the wire I was using to hold it up while I was painting, hit the ground in the absolute worst spot, and one of the welds cracked. And with aluminum, if there's a crack, you can just peel it apart. So I had a friend come over today, and him and his wife are used to be professional welders. They're retired now. And his wife is actually a certified aluminum welder, which was awesome. I had no idea until today. So they helped me do a little bit of tuning to the welder, got good penetration, re-welded it up. I did a little test, I forgot to mention this. It's down to the wire on painting. It's actually, if you pan over, you can see the paint was still curing when I installed it. And I managed to pull away a little tiny chip, so I had to do some touch-up on it. But yeah, it's all installed now. We'll show you, once we remove this, we'll get some footage of it installed in place. And then it'll be a couple days before they can use it because the paint has to cure. That's it.
So this was arguably one of the most challenging parts of the install, just for various reasons, but ultimately Brien got it done. It is a bar that's up here hanging on the top of the rear door, or the main entry door, to kind of match the one that's done down here by Alu-Cab. And from this bar, we'll be able to hang our camp kitchen bags for cooking. And again, when we do a walk around video, we will show you all of this and why we've selected this specific equipment and modifications. It'll all make sense. It makes sense in our minds anyway. So hopefully it will make sense when we are done. So Brien, I asked you to create some sort of solution for hanging bags inside the Canopy Camper, and you came up with the idea of doing the 2020 along the edges, and today we received that finally.
Yeah.
And talk to me about that.
So Eric thankfully found some on Amazon that we could use. Those came today, cut them up, got them installed. They look really good. I showed Eric some hardware to buy, because it's, again, like shipping this just not going to get here in time, so he's going to have them shipped to the next shop. They're kind of like a U shape, so they'll hold a little bit more secure. I think it'll actually look a lot better. And then you'll be able to not only hook on carabiners, but you can fit some like nylon webbing and stuff through there too, if you ever wanted to do something more advanced.
Well, Brien, it's been quite an adventure. We've gotten a lot of stuff done here together. Thank you again so much. Do you have any final thoughts on Dauntless, the build, what you like, anything?
Yeah, this has been a really fun build. This is actually my first time in person getting my hands on a Gladiator, so that was nice. My only regret is that I now have to wait like 2 months or maybe a little more before I see this again in person, fully complete. So I can't wait to see that. It's going to be a really nice. I was just telling Eric a little while ago that he's got a really nice home. It's really nice in here on the inside. So it should serve you guys really well on your journey.
Right on, great. Well, again, thank you, Brien, and appreciate everything you've done. We're looking forward to getting on the road to Texas and showing you Dauntless when he's all finished.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. Bye, Dauntless. Safe travels.
So once again, Brien, I just wanted to thank you for all that you've done. Again, you are the person that when I have a problem and I need a solution, you're my guy. I highly recommend Sonoran Expedition Collective and my friend Brien to any of you. If you're ever coming through Arizona, maybe you live in Arizona, he's down in Tucson, come check out his shop, get your questions answered, reach out to him. He's on YouTube as Brien Wankel, which I have tagged in the video, and I'll have it in the description below. And you can find him on Instagram at Handsome Anchor, which is also tagged in the video, and I'll also have it there. So again, Brien, thank you very, very much.
Yeah, thank you for letting me be a part of this build. This is a really, really, really cool truck. Can't wait to see the finished product after it heads away from the next shop.
Yeah, I can't wait to take it around the world. So
Oh,
that's what I'm excited about. Again, thank you. And for everybody out there, thanks for watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next week.